All right, guys, welcome to the New York Auto Show. Of course, I had to make my first stop at the Porsche stand. Let's see what they've got. I made a beeline to the new 992 behind me, so let's take a closer look. When you walk up on the new 992, it looks very similar to the 991. All the general curves and surfacing and everything looks very similar between the two generations. From this side profile, the 992 doesn't look that much bigger than a 991. In fact, it really isn't. It's only the front overhang that's just a little bit longer than the 991. It's only longer by about an inch. But the rest of the wheelbase, the body, is pretty much the same dimension as the 991. But there are other details that are quite different from the 991, so let's dive into those. You do see a little bit more sharpness above the wheel wells versus the 991. It kind of just tapers a little bit more. So it gives each wheel well a little bit more prominence on the 992. There's new detailing on the hood here. If you look closely, there are these two lines that create some dimension on the hood, and that harkens back to some older 911s that used to have a vent at the top of that hood. And it adds a little bit more sharpness. And I noticed the front end is a little bit more angular than the 991, with a very sharp looking splitter at the bottom. Of course, all 911s have a wider front track as well as the wide body rear. Here's a closer look at the new rear light element with this nice sweeping line going across the back end here. And I see the beveling of the rear bumper. That's different. And I guess the light really plays with that. With the beveling there, it really emphasizes a horizontal line in the shadowing of the rear end. All of those horizontal lines really accentuate the width of this car now that all of the 911s are wide body. All right, they also emphasize the width with this kind of black area here from the left to the right side, including the sport exhaust pipes here on the license plate. And they started this with the exhaust in the 991.2, kind of two wide kind of openings here on either side of the license plate. Detailing here where there are 9 fins, ending with the 2 for the red light in the middle, equaling 911. There are those new door handles here that flip up when you come close to the door, and then of course retract once the doors are closed and secure. I guess it's a nice little detail. I'm not mad at it. Here is the new interior of the 992. The big change, of course, is the very horizontal thrust to the dashboard here to kind of give you that historic retro look, harking back to 911s from the past. So there's a dramatic horizontal thrust here. And have you noticed that, I've noticed that a lot of the new design language of cars coming out now have that horizontal dashboard now. Lincoln and Audi and many other manufacturers are doing this extremely horizontal dashboard. In the past, the 911 had a center console that draped up into the dashboard, and they've cut that off so that it's extremely horizontal going across here, and it looks fine. I like it. It looks good. The seats are redesigned a little bit here. This one clearly has what looks like some sort of, maybe this is the Sport Tech kind of material in the middle, and then leather on the exterior here. But it looks nice. All right, guys, so this is my first time sitting inside of the new 992 911. They've kept the traditional 5 dials, and as you can see, the center is a tachometer still, and it's still analog. And of course, you can change the other 4 to be whatever you want to view, like navigation and other kind of controls. Yeah, so I like it in here. It's mighty fine. The steering wheel seems smaller than mine in my 991.1. It may be all in my head, But I do like the simplified controls here on the integrated steering wheel. It looks really nice and clean. It feels good to the touch. It really looks very clean. Here's the drive mode selector down here. It looks smaller than what I recall before, with that push to go button in the middle. They have these kind of piano keys here for some other kind of function: hazard lights, traction control off, sports suspension or PASM here, and then temperature up and down, toggle switches here, which makes sense. And I believe that there are things that light up here as well, and you can see all the fingerprints on them. So I'm always a little dubious and skeptical of these kind of piano black surfaces where you have to touch them. But all of the materials here feel really good to the touch. Very nice. One thing that is curious to me in the center console is this big, giant cup holder here in the middle. It seems like if you had a manual transmission here and a drink here, that would be a recipe for disaster. So it's curious that they would put a big giant cup holder smack in the middle like that. Not sure that that's entirely necessary. What do you think about this little knob for the PDK versions of the car? It seems a little puny. I understand why it gets a little bit of flack, but you know what? It's in a 911, and if that's all we're complaining about is the size of that knob and the position of the cup holders, then, you know, who cares? You know, these two things are such minor issues that what's most important is the drive itself. And from what all the reviewers have said, the drive is fantastic. The seats feel very, very comfortable. There's the new door card with a nice, clean looking design. Yeah, I think the interior looks pretty good. But I'm glad to see that the clean, uninterrupted lines, the smooth surfacing and shapes is still there. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, please hit like and subscribe. There's more content coming, so please stay tuned to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.